And some of my early research actually began before that date, but 1972, the Curlian photography. Semyon and Valentin produced a beautiful method of making electrical pictures using corona discharge around living things and non-living things. And the wonderful thing about living things, ladies and gentlemen, is they gave off a wonderful, vibrant energy field. The inanimate object did not, unless it was like a coin or a cross that had been influenced with healing energy. And this was an artist, I call this the, for those old enough to remember the ad, the Ready Break Man. Okay, the wonderful golden glow. The artist's impression is very good, but I have to tell you, in reality, and this evening you'll be seeing the reality of it, the artist's impression is a shadow of what the living energy field around a human being and all other living things are in reality. This was one of the first Curlian pictures in colour I took of my thumb. No members of the local constabulary here, I hope. Good, good. I'm still incognito. Right, okay. And this is actually the corona discharge and the energy. There's no lens or focal plane in a Curlian camera. There's a moisture screen above the film, and there's an electronic plate, and an electromagnetic field is passed around it. I'll be showing you the setup for those of you I know in Glastonbury who dabble. I'll show you how to do it. And it's in my books, of course. Thank you. And here's the apparatus. We have here, ladies and gentlemen, inside there, a modified Tesla coil, which is a pulsed high-frequency coil. Here we have a DC power source, so that there is no fluctuations from mains frequency or interference coming down the wiring. And here in these early days, my design of a function generator that had pulse ranges of very below and beyond human frequency ranges of ears, but these were electromagnetic field pulses with different waveforms. And we sent this pulsed high frequency, high voltage into something like a leaf, which was earthed, and this is the plate, this is reflective dielectric covering, and that reflected all the light back to the film, which was underneath the object to be photographed. Of course, when people put their fingers and hands on it, they didn't need to be earthed, unless they liked wires attached to them, of course, and then we obliged, of course. That goes down rather well in America, where certain electrocution methods are still used for capital punishment. But it's wasted here. I'll remember that, not to do it again. And here, right, I know in Glastonbury you're interested in the paranormal and ghosts and phantoms. Because when I was an ordinary reductionist thinking young man in my early days of learning about science, we didn't entertain such things. But over the years, my mind has changed. And it began with looking at a leaf. Okay, can you see this leaf here? It's a Canadian maple leaf, but it's not all there. If you look very carefully, ladies and gentlemen, from here to there is no physical leaf. It's a phantom energy picture. Okay? And Roger and I came up with a term, long before string theory in physics, for a subatomic energetic matrix on which these physical molecules for everything around people, the universe, trees, stones, you name it, on which these physical molecules are strung. Okay? And it's this organizing field. Okay, morphogenic field resonance as well has been brought forward by people, you know, various researchers and other things, of course, which I give due credit to. Thank you. Now, I wasn't satisfied with that partial phantom. What would happen if you took the whole leaf away? Well, I tried that and there was nothing left. So I left a central stem of vital force, okay, and ripped off all the leaves, which were there. That's the control, by the way, on the left, what it was like before I ripped off all the leaves. The leaves, the secret for a good phantom, 100%, is they have to be burned, okay? Just like in India, you know, the physical remnants of this space-time are burned, and therefore the energetic process is released and carries on instantly. The other thing to mention is the plant has to be, for this 100%, organically grown. if it's seeing chemical fertilization any time in its growing life period, you will only get partial phantoms. This we discovered in the 1970s, before organic farming was popular. Here, by the way, I started to grow organic cabbages. And as there's farmers and growers here, this part of the country, I hope. At least with the apples and cider, at least, I hope. And one of the scourges of the organic gardener is the cabbage white caterpillar. Okay? Now, the reason why I'm maligning it, ladies and gentlemen, so much is because of what I did a few seconds later. Please show the ghastly deed. A very painless injection of potassium cyanide, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a good point at this stage to announce that I also do children's parties and weddings, and Andy will be taking bookings after the presentation, or Martin down there. We'll see. And no, don't do this at home, ladies and gentlemen. I am an expert. Okay. As my dad used to say, an X is something that was, and a spurt is a drip under pressure. And so after this injection, you can see that the life force was put out. It was just like putting a hose on a bonfire. Light went out. There's fallout from the creature, but that creature, I assure you, is quite dead. And that's the before, just to remind you, and the after. And the reason why I put healthy there is because it had a last meal of my organic cabbages. And they were beautiful, just done with a knob of butter. They were gorgeous, you know. So he died very happy. I even put the butter on for him, you know. So, anyway, thank you. And here's some of that organic material, the organic cabbage. Okay, beautiful. It's not a galaxy in some thing taken from the Hubble telescopes, taken in the early 1970s with this discovery. But you can do terrible things to an organic piece of material too, especially if you put it in a pressure cooker or stew it for hours and hours. How many of you of my generation remember school dinners? And you'd walk through the school gate and you could smell what you were going to be having for lunch, because it'd been cooking from about 7 o'clock in the morning. Don't overcook your vegetables, ladies and gentlemen, because it takes out the life force. And this vitality, we also proved, is transferred to a human subject or an animal subject who eats the organic material. These aren't some supernova suns in a distant galaxy. They are organic oranges with the energy field around them in Kirlian. Here we have an organic clove of garlic, and it was so energetic, ladies and gentlemen, with this effervescence of energy. It was even sending out, well, I didn't know what they were in those days, but almost orb-like structures right across the photography plate, several centimeters.